Good morning, my dear fans. Mashu here. I'm back with yet another review on the bed here. I'm very much liking doing these record on the spot sort of things. Well, I'm actually recording this one day after the teaser, and as you've seen on my videos, and I did a little bit of sneak peeks here every now and then, and now with the It's Time sneak peek. Today we're gonna review this beauty of a product, which I kind of kept a secret. Sorry for kind of gatekeeping it a little bit. This is the Thomas & Friends 80th Anniversary Motorized Load and Launch Barrel Delivery Set. I was able to get this as a gift from my mom and dad for my birthday last year. So even though last year I did premiere the Ruby Thomas review on my birthday, this was like the real highlight of that. And I am just super glad that they did it. This set means a lot to me. I remember very vividly being at school in recess and a weird bench, and I was just in my phone looking at the leaks from Toy Fair, and I remember when the box for this leaked, I actually cried a little bit. I didn't burst in tears, go all baby mode, but just a little tear ran down my face a little bit. It was just because of this promo. I just looked at that and a little tear fell down, and I was like, oh my god, finally we're getting products like this again. And again, very vividly, I remember back in September, around the 20th or so, or actually it really wasn't the 20th, it must have been before that, I found this at a department store online, finally being sold here in Chile. And I just shared it with my mom and dad, and they did a deal with me that they said essentially, we're gonna order this for your birthday. And I'm just super glad that they did it. The main point that I'm trying to make is that for the fact that my mom and dad are still willing in order to give me sets like this, still when I'm gonna turn 19 years old, I'm gonna turn 20 this year, 20 years old, and they're still willing in order to buy me products like this, it really shows that your parents do care. They know about you, they care about you, they know your interests, and they're gonna respect those interests, no matter how questionable it may be, no matter if I'm not the target audience. It just shows that they care. They know you, they want you to be happy, and they just care for you. It means a lot to me. So when this thing arrived, I just didn't want to review it. I just wanted to enjoy it as a product as it was. This was a gift just for me, made for me, and I just wanted to enjoy it. So that's why I pushed the review back, and I said, yeah, I'm gonna be late to the party. It doesn't matter. It's just what matters is that I got this as a gift and that I'm enjoying with it. So that's why I pushed the review back, and I apologize. It's been half a year now, and the new show merch is about to release in Q3 or Q4 this year, and I did that realization, and I was like, I should do this before it's too late. So I figured now it's the time in order to do it. It's better late than never, you know? So, sorry for the wait. Grab some popcorn, grab some tea, grab some cola, whatever, and let's review this together. Unlike you American folks out there, this is an international box. This promo, when I saw this during the leaks, it immediately brought me back to 2013 Wooden Railway. Seeing this Thomas in the modern day is unbelievably cool, and it's super weird as well. It just gives me super weird flashbacks. But yeah, this is what caused that little tear down my throat months ago. Actually, it must have been around a year because the leaks were in March, weren't they? And here you can see how long the set is. This thing is fucking big. I'm not going to beat around the bush with this one. This thing is large. It's not going to fit on most people's setups. I'm being blatantly honest about that. On the top you can see the cloud with the boy again. And here you can laugh about Chile's horrible price tags. Or at least horribly high prices. Because, yep, we get licensed things here being overpriced as f***. This compatible side isn't really much different from the other boxes other than the changed render, and we had the cloud at the top. On this side you can see the piece count and or piece tally, and it boasts on having 26 pieces. That is a flat out lie. There's too many pieces here which have a lot more pieces inside of them in order to make one big section, so this is a lie. If it was 26 elements for every language, then it would make sense, but pieces, that's a lie. And on the bottom, not much to note, other than the 2025 copyright date, but yeah, nothing much. I do wish this Hidden Entertainment cube would be in color though. Here's a look at the back, and as you can see, it advertises a lot of characters. I mean, it did it in the front as well, but here we can see Duck included, which is actually pretty funny considering the fact that when this set first released here in Chile, Duck wasn't even out. He is out now, but it is kind of funny seeing a very slight form of false advertising. Obviously, it will say like subject to availability, but like your distribution cannot be that bad. Like, come on. There you can see how the set can be built in 2 track layouts. See multiple languages again. It doesn't have any errors from what I know. Until tagline, you just get the regular stuff. And something very curious, if it wasn't painfully obvious, we get an open here tab, meaning that you can open this box like a pizza box and you get your contents inside. I get why they did that. It's just kind of funny to see it because the open here tabs are very common in Hot Wheels products, not Thomas ones. Another funny thing is that the whole set picture here actually fits inside of the open here tab. As you can see, when you open it, nothing gets cut off other than those 2 bits, which are just form of advertising, not the set. Pretty funny. Let's skip right on over to some footage which I recorded earlier showcasing this set more in detail.
What follows is a brief construction montage.
If I had a nickel for every time Fisher-Price designed a Thomas playset in the modern age with a track accessory piece that has no accessory in the final layout, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. I was building this up and I was saying, I can't wait for the new track system, and what's happening right now? What's happening right now?
We hope you enjoyed this brief construction montage.
So, the load and launch barrel delivery set has been built up completely, and as for comparison, we have the Hot Wheels copyright Mario Kart trademark Bowser's Castle Raceway right next to it. And while it isn't taller, it isn't wider, it is definitely longer. I can fit 2 raceways for the length of one of these barrel delivery sets, which is ridiculous. This thing is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straights long or something like that. It is ridiculous. I definitely want sets in the new show merch to be in a square rather than a rectangle, because this thing ain't gonna fit on most people's setups. I warned you, I don't know how many times. Look, let me retaliate. I love this thing to death, but it really could have been one of those sets which could have used one of those downscaled versions made for other markets. You know those? Like the Thomas's Shipwreck Rail set, the Thomas's Avalanche Escape set. It could have used one of those. But nope, it's just a one-size-fits-all. The instructions for this set are really big. Here you can see where the stickers would have got it on a sticker sheet, which I no longer own, but they are taped onto the instructions nowadays. I just have the piece of tape as evidence. And as you can see in the assembly area, you can see that a bunch of these pieces have the red star, which means that a lot of this playset has the dreaded one-time snaps. Here's the backside. It just shows you mostly how to play. And I love how the special face Thomas looks here. He just looks like the happiest little goober on earth. It also shows us the 2 truck layouts you can make with this. Now for this review, I'm only going to focus on layout 1, because that's the one you see mostly in promotional shots and all that. Layout 2 just looks miserable, so I'm not even going to bother with that. We're just going to look at layout 1 and go from there. Let's take this moment in order to look at the engine, rolling stock, and cargo. I'm going to look at rolling stock first. You have this long cargo car, which is designed to hold the barrels. You get some nice barrel detailing. I love how it looks long, and I love how it's built long. You know, it gives me a lot of flashbacks to like Tony and Classic Trackmaster and all that. It's very nice. There is some things I would change though, like for example, the spike wheels. I'm not a major fan. I mean, I guess it makes sense for the thing that it does, but I personally replaced these with the wheels that came from rolling stock from the single engine 2-packs. I have an example of that. I would have replaced it with these. You know, much better, much smoother, you know. But what can you do? The cargo that you get is 4 barrels, and they're all molded the same, just with different prints. An orange one with mail, a blue one with fish, a green one with apples, and a yellow one with bananas. Pretty nice though. You can put one of these like that. You need to put it like this, so it's hanging like that. And then the cargo car actually has a little feature. You see this little tab? It's going to be activated in a certain point of the set. And when it goes past that point, you go like this. Oh, it will launch the barrel. It's actually spring activated, so it kind of locks into place. And then you activate like this. Pretty nice. Let's take this moment in order to look at Thomas as well. He almost fell in my hands. This is the first motorized Thomas I'm looking at in the channel, although I had Thomases before this. The motorized Thomas is made very well. This is essentially a Bachmann Thomas on steroids. I do have a 2-pack Thomas, which came from the Engine Celebration pack, and 2 packs. He looks like this. Tiny bit dusty. I do prefer how this one doesn't have the white splotch detailing on the side. You know, on the playset it has this weird splotching. That wasn't a mistake by me. It's literally just how it's designed. But I do know that later, I'm pretty sure Vietnam-made ones are like much more prevalent with this detail. This one just seems to be made in China. It's kind of like one of the early releases, but yeah, I would have preferred this without the white splotching. But something that I do have to take a lot of credit for is the white running board. We have been asking for this since God knows how long. And I know that I've seen people complain that, oh, the running board is not complete. Well, be happy that it's at least here. That's the one complaint we've always had with these models. It's finally here and I'm not upset. You have the lamp and lamp irons all painted white. You got the buffers actually painted on the front. You have that little lamp that's molded but not painted, and just whatever. You get a sticker there. I would have preferred if the whistles were separately applied and they were actually molded in a different color. So, you know, I think one of the main attributes with Thomas has to be his whistle. So if it's not like painted correctly, it kind of defeats the purpose of his character. That's all I'll tell you about it, you know. It's on the 2-pack one as well. I don't really mind it too much, but it would have been better if it was designed differently. I think the Talking Thomas has this whole thing with the whistles as a sticker. I'm pretty sure. But another really positive point has to be the face. This is without a doubt one of the best Thomas faces which I've seen in a long while. He looks just such a beautiful boy. He just looks beautiful. I see this face and it makes me want to play with the toy. I just love it. I'm not really a major fan when they do this weird like determined face like they did for the 2-pack and the 3-pack one. I think this face and the Day Out with Thomas version face are like the best Thomas faces which I've seen, but this one it's beautiful. It is kind of upsetting that they only make that face special for the set rather than like the 3-packs or stuff. But you know, you get my point. He's already been pre-batteried up, so he's ready to go. So overall, I love the variety, I love the long cargo, and this is one of my best Thomases. So massive thumbs up in this department. Well, let's take a look at the playability of this now. So this set, unlike literally any other Thomas set on the planet, actually has a starting piece. This is kind of built like one of those switches, but instead of a working switch, it has a little arrow sign. Like that, it's pointing over here to this left. And you have this kind of ramp piece which goes from the ground to the tracks. It's kind of like the opposite compared to what we do. You know, on a switch you usually have like the open end with a ramp or like a buffer and to stop it. But no, we're doing the reverse here. So we go over here, and this is one of those points where this barrel cargo car will be triggered. Right there. This little tab is going to activate this little piece. Like that. That's going to launch one of the loaded barrels up high and actually hit this working bell. No joke, this doesn't require any extra batteries. It's literally a bell. It's a bell! And you have this little flag on top of it, which actually has the same connection points as AG cargo cars and stuff like that. So you can actually put that into one of those, if you have any. I know I do. You have this little switch here, which you can use in order to let the barrel go down to shoot. The same thing applies to the other side. It's essentially the same plate feature mirrored. You can go over here, and there's this little stop and go, which you can use in order to refill the barrel. And you have a little tunnel here, which is made out of a felt material. It's built like that. You get a little squirrel right there. Use my corns. Another one over there. It's nice. You know, it has some nice detailing. But obviously they could have used like a plastic tunnel. Ironically enough, in the new show merch I've seen, I don't know what's said, but I think in like the Bell Station there's a tunnel like this one, like exactly the same shape, but made out of plastic. I do prefer the plastic one because it's definitely gonna last a lot longer than this felt one. Someone could unknowingly step on this and it's just gonna stop functioning. It's just gonna destroy itself. It slightly sucks, but you know, it's good to have variety, I guess. You go over here to the mirror play feature, you go up the bridge, and you have a stop and go over there in order to refill for a barrel again, with a nice little station. I do gotta give it that. The roof is prone in order to have a lot of dust. You go under the bridge, and then you have a choice. You either go over here in order to go to the loop that never ends, or you switch it and go down the middle, down the station, and you find this turntable. Now there's two things to note about this. One, this station very much resembles Vickerstown. I don't know if it's been confirmed yet if it's Vickerstown or not, but I'm gonna assume it is, because it definitely resembles it a lot. Especially with this Thomas sign in the middle, it just looks like Vickerstown. It's the same on both sides, but yeah. And then this turntable, an engine will automatically stop over here. And it's nice that this thing actually spins very well. You know, it's very easy to manipulate, so you have an engine over here, it'll stop, you let go, and it'll go down the same loop. I like how whenever you stop into any of these sides, it always goes in the same direction every time. So you go over there, again, it's going in the same direction where the arrow's pointing. The only way you're going to go in the reverse order is going back down the middle, because these two areas just lead to an automatic always stop to a buffer with no exit. So it's better to have your engine start here and then go down one of these two paths. Just as a little note. But something I do dislike about this turntable is the stop and go. Unlike any other stop and go in existence, you know, there it is in stop. I move it over here, you know how it's go, let my finger off, and just a go. It's a stop or a go. This, however, move it to here, it's in go, right? I let go my finger, and it springs back to stop. This sucks. If any designers looking at this video right now for feedback, you know, because that's what a good company does, never make one of these always stop turntables again. I like how you experimented, but this is one of those concepts that sounds good on paper, but in execution it sucks. A stop and go should be one of those things that should always be a manual thing, not a spring-loaded thing like this. Imagine these stop and goes could be like dead in the middle of your tracks, like say a shed, like in Timmy's sheds. I don't want to see one of these spring-loaded ones ever again. It's one of those spring-back ones. That sucks. But other than that, that's like the only major negative thing that I can say about this. And honestly, it doesn't really affect my play experience with this set due to the fact that I always go this route. I never tend to go over to the turntable. But yeah. How about we see you in an engine, shall we? I have Thomas ready with his barrel. The orange one I feel like is the most iconic. That thing is always going to be a go. You know, it's a manual one. We'll go over here. I have a little stop and go there for another barrel. And we'll see how it goes. We'll also test out the turntable as well. Let's go, Thomas. Hey! We'll stop here. Bit rocky there. Set barrel. Let go. Nice little ding. Let's see how you go with the turntable with how much I complained. It didn't derail yet. Go down the middle. At least it stays silent here, so you can easily maneuver. Let's go over here. Is it set right? Just a little bit there. There we go. And let's set the apples. Need to kind of hold it. That's the best thing we got. We won't be able to stop there for a barrel, so let's go over here. And we'll stop here for the fish. Like that. Nice. Let's use these levers as well to let the barrels go. There's a big pile up with 3 barrels over there. It's nice. It's very nice. And something I like is that it keeps the kids very active. You know, you have the stop and goes, you have the barrels, you have the switches. It's a very intuitive and very, you know, active set. It's not always a thing of, oh, just let the engine go. You can do that if you want, but if you want to, you could go in and just play around with it. We'll do a solo run and we'll start from one of these areas. You know how he's always at stop there. So let's turn to there. I want to push him with our fingers. And let's turn over here. Let's see how he does with a solo run. I know some of you might be curious about how that looks like. We'll be in motion with him. And we'll see how it goes. I'm not gonna attempt a turntable again. We're just gonna see him go around doing his stuff. Just doing his thing. Yeah, it's nice. It's definitely very nice with the, you know, one of the best looking Thomases that I have, so, yeah. I'd argue it's better looking than Bachmann because, you know, the face. I know there's a lot of people that don't like the Bachmann Thomas face, and I agree. So maybe this one doesn't have a full white running board, but having that little splash of white right there. There you go. Having that little splash of white definitely is nice. It's the one thing I've been asking for all this time. And honestly, you can't really note the white splotching in this one. You know, if you look at it from afar, you don't really notice it, especially in dark areas. I mean, I know that's painfully obvious, but like, you know. I need to set the track. But yeah, it's nice. It's just nice to look at. It makes you smile. It makes me want to go down here to the floor and just play like a baby again, you know, play like a kid. That is what this thing is meant for anyway. On the turntable now. I wonder what happens if you let it go over here. No, nobody has attempted it. You just stop. Now that we're here stopped, I got inspired by the box art right over there. Let me get my other 80th anniversary engines that I own, and let's leave this as a really cool display. So give me 1 minute. And I think I'm done. So you have Metal Collection Henry and Percy chilling over there on the bridge. It's fairly empty. You got Thomas over here with the barrel. Motorized Gordon is bothering here due to the noise of the barrel and, you know, the bell. Percy, on the other hand, is glad that he's looking at his best friend. You're my other Thomas here with some apples and bananas. Oh, they're yummy for you. Metal Collection Thomas there just chilling. Ruby Thomas is being a show off. James is doing his James thing. And Fisher here because that's the water, you know. It's a really nice thing because all these engines have different expressions and all, and you can make a really cool looking display. Again, just makes me have some big imaginations like a child again. Like I used to when I played with Take-Along. So I think that concludes the review on the load and launch barrel delivery set. And overall, I think it's pretty obvious that I love this thing. I love that someone went towards this design, and I know there's some very naggy things to say about this. Definitely with this. Please change this for the new show merch. I don't want to see this thing. Please change that. But other than that, the main point of this, trying to make a celebratory set for the 80th anniversary, it kind of does suck that this was the only set made for the 80th anniversary, because me personally, I would have preferred to also see Metal Collection sets based off old stories. As a matter of fact, I actually did a concept for The Sad Story of Henry set. I'll show it up on screen, and it's pretty obvious what the concept was. I would have liked to see that, but for the fact that this actually did release just makes me so happy, knowing that actually I think this is going on sale for like $20 in certain stores in the US. Obviously this is just a sale, it's not going to be forever, but yeah, just looking at this makes me want to go down and play. And again, very emotional, and I'm very much connected to this, knowing that my mom and dad gifted this for my birthday. So sorry if I was late in reviewing this, but yeah, I already made all my points though. I think this set fully deserves a full star. So for now, the only thing to fix would be the turntable, and I think it would have been better to have some more clear clarification if this was Vickerstown or not. For now, let's just imagine and say it is. But yeah, that's all I really gotta say about this. So with that said, thank you guys for watching. Comment, like, subscribe. Try to tell me in the comments in case you actually do want to see a review on the engine celebration pack, because I don't know if I should actually do it or just cancel it. I'm not too sure. It's not really that interesting in order to look at 5 locomotives and that's it. At least that's just not my thing. But I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope it brought you some nice little memories. It definitely did for me. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace!